I'm not in, to the shouting back and forth. I'm really trying to understand here, Tove, the point here and how you get to that end by walking into a Target, a Chipotle, a Chick-fil-A with this semi-automatic rifle strapped to your back.
Well, look, I see this entire situation as very, very simple. I continue to hear about the feelings of people who see firearms. I want to talk about the feelings of moms who want to be armed so they can protect their children. I want to talk about my wife who needs to be armed so she can protect my children from being in a situation where she cannot protect them. Because we all know good and well that gun control, when it comes to signs, criminals don't read signs. They don't care if a sign says you may not carry in this establishment. We've seen that time and time again, that whenever law-abiding citizens are not armed and not able to protect themselves, they become victims, and quite often they die. And so this situation really isn't just about people's feelings of seeing a gun or knowing people around them are armed. Let's talk about the ones they don't know are armed, the criminals. No one talks about that because no one talks about the criminals who you can't see are armed.
I hear you. Go ahead.
I want my wife to be armed. I want her to be able to protect my children. I want to be armed so I can protect my family. It's really a simple concept, and there's millions of moms and dads across America who feel the same as me.
Right.
We want to be empowered to not be victims.
You're right. You're right. I mean, I am a parent. I get that. I get that on a very real level. We will do whatever we can to protect our kids. But this is something that's already legal in Texas. So a lot of people are looking at it and saying, what is the point? And I wanted to ask you, from a parent's perspective, because you said you're a parent, if there is a parent who has a small child in one of these establishments and comes up and says, you know what, I know you got your rifle here, but it's scaring my child, it's making me feel threatened. What do you do in that instance? Do you leave? Do you take the gun away?
We have not been in that instance, and that's the whole thing. Every time we've gone to a restaurant, we have been invited in. We respect private property rights every bit as much as we respect our rights.
What would you do then? Let me ask, what would you do if a parent came up and said, this really makes me uncomfortable and it's scaring my child?
I would explain to them the same thing I'm explaining to you right now. I'd explain to them that, look, there are people armed around us all the time, concealed carrying, some legally, some illegally. And the fact of the matter is we don't know where those people are. We can't see them. But it doesn't change the fact they're armed. We continue to run into the same situation over and over where armed assailants walk into gun-free zones and they gun down victims. And there's no one there who's able to stop the attacker. All that we see is a situation where they become victims and they die. And no one wants to talk about those people. Everyone wants to talk about the feelings of these people who see guns, but no one wants to talk about the victims who were not given the opportunity to take down the attacker. And that's why we continue to see mass killings happen in gun-free zones like Fort Hood, like the Luby's massacre on October 16, 1991. In Killeen, Texas. That's why we continue to see Newtowns, why we continue to see Columbines. We continue to see these things happen because there are not legally armed law-abiding citizens who are able to take down these evil people. And we continue to do the same thing over and over. It's insanity.
Let me get in here about this NRA statement. I guess a reversal is the kind way to say it. Back on the 30th of May, they condemned what you guys were doing, calling it, quote, dubious, weird, and downright scary. So then this week, after threats from your group, and I'm sure a lot of your supporters, to withdraw your and their support, the NRA has retracted the statement, saying they now support you. Do you buy the explanation that their rebuke was a mistake and came only from one staffer's opinion, or do you think that they felt some pressure?
I can't get into the mind of the National Rifle Association, but what I can say is groups like the National Rifle Association and Gun Owners of America and other gun organizations have stood behind us in trying to get open carry legislation passed in the state of Texas. And yes, whoever wrote that did make a mistake. Look, and this is what I keep telling people. You can't control everyone inside your organization. We've made plenty of mistakes. The National Rifle Association has made plenty of mistakes. But what we all learn is it's not about the mistakes you make, it's about how you react to them. I'm sure you guys as reporters, as correspondents, that you make mistakes, and sometimes you have to go back and correct those issues because no one is perfect. As an organization, we're learning just like the National Rifle Association is. But I do have confidence that they're going to stand behind us all the way to the finish line when we get open carry legislation passed in the state of Texas.